Stop! Before you spend that 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny, take a second look at what you're holding. That tiny 1-cent coin may look like nothing more than an old piece of pocket change, but there are details on these coins that collectors know can make a major difference. And here's the part that should make you curious. A 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny isn't automatically rare just because it's old, but certain varieties, exceptional grades, original color, and genuine mint-made characteristics can make individual examples much more interesting. So if you have a 1952 D sitting in an old coin jar, a family collection, a drawer, or a box of pennies you've been meaning to inspect, don't put it back yet, because we're going to examine this coin from the date all the way to the mint mark, the portrait, the wheat reverse, the color, the surfaces, the edge, and the tiny details that most people never bother checking. And before we go any further, remember one important rule: do not clean the coin. Don't polish it. Don't rub it with a cloth. Don't use chemicals, don't scratch around the mint mark. If you think you've found something unusual, the original condition of the coin is part of the evidence. Now let's start with the most obvious feature, the date. You're looking for 1952. Take a bright light and look at every digit. Don't just glance at the date and move on. Look closely at the edges of each number. Does anything appear doubled? Is there an unusual raised line? Does one digit look different from the others? But here's the first trap. Not every unusual looking line is a rare variety. A scratch can look like doubling. A dent can distort a digit. A reflection can create a shadow. Wear can make part of a number look strange. So don't make a conclusion from one quick glance. Rotate the coin, change the lighting, use magnification. Then compare it with another normal 1952 D. Lincoln cent if you have one. That comparison can be incredibly useful. Now turn the coin over. Look for the tiny D mint mark. That D tells us the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and this little letter deserves your attention. Why? Because documented varieties exist involving the mint mark on 1952 D. Lincoln cents, including over mint mark examples listed by variety specialists. So don't just look at the D and say, it's a D. Look at the shape, look at the edges, look at the surrounding metal. Look for anything that appears unusual or different from a normal example. But again, don't start scratching. If something looks suspicious, preserve it exactly as you found it. Take a clear, close-up photograph. Compare it with trusted references. And if the feature appears to match a recognized variety, that's when professional attribution may become worthwhile. Now let's talk about something that can completely change how collectors view the same coin. Condition. Imagine putting 200 1952 D. Lincoln wheat pennies side by side. They have the exact same date. They have the exact same mint mark. They have the exact same denomination. But one has been circulating for decades. Its surfaces are covered with contact marks. Lincoln's hair is worn. The wheat stalks are weak. The color has changed. The other coin has sharp details, strong original surfaces, very little wear, and attractive original color. Would you expect both coins to have the same collector value? Of course not. That's why condition matters. And this is where the story of the 1952 D becomes much more interesting. The Denver Mint produced a very large number of these cents, 746,130,000 that means. The date and mint mark alone don't make every 1952 D penny rare. But here's the important distinction. A large original mintage doesn't guarantee that millions of coins survived in exceptional condition. Think about what happened to these pennies after they entered circulation. They went into pockets. They went into cash registers. They were dropped on sidewalks. They were thrown into drawers. They were mixed with other coins. They were exposed to dirt and moisture. Some were cleaned. Some were damaged. Some disappeared into collections. Some were melted or otherwise removed from circulation, and some were simply forgotten. So when collectors find a 1952 D with exceptional preservation, that's where things start getting interesting. Now look at Lincoln's portrait. Start with his hair. Are the individual details still strong? Look at the cheek. Is the surface smooth because the coin was struck that way, or because years of circulation removes the detail? Check the jaw, check the ear, look at the neck, then move to the word liberty. Are the letters sharp? Are they worn? Do any appear doubled? Again, you're not looking for one magical clue. You're building a complete picture of the coin. Now look at In God We Trust. Check the lettering. Look at the edges of the letters. Look for unusual raised features. And remember, genuine mint-made doubling has specific characteristics. Random scratches don't qualify. Damage doesn't qualify. A strange reflection doesn't qualify. This is why serious coin collecting involves comparison and verification. Now flip the coin again. The reverse is one of the most recognizable designs in American coin history. You should see the two wheat stalks. That's why these are called wheat cents. Look closely at the wheat lines. Are they strong? Are they worn? Are the fine details still visible? Now check 1 cent. Look at the lettering, then move upward to United States of America, then E pluribus unum. A high-grade coin should generally show much stronger design detail than a heavily circulated example. But there's another clue hiding in plain sight. Color. Look at the copper. Is your 1952 D dark brown? Does it have a reddish brown appearance? Or does it retain a significant amount of original red color? For Lincoln cents, color designations such as brown, and red can be important when discussing higher grade coins. But don't make another common mistake. A shiny penny is not automatically a valuable penny. In fact, a coin that has been cleaned can look unnaturally bright. Collectors generally prefer original surfaces. So if your coin looks bright, don't assume you've found something special. Look for signs of cleaning. Are there tiny parallel scratches across the surface? Does the shine look unnatural? Does the color look inconsistent? Is there evidence that someone tried to polish the coin? If so, that could affect its desirability. That's why the safest thing you can do with a potentially valuable old coin is simple. Leave it alone. Don't try to improve it. Now here's a number that explains why the 1952D can be interesting. PCGS auction records show an exceptionally high-grade 1952D Lincoln cent graded MS67 plus red reaching a recorded price of 3,840 day Oz at auction. Read that carefully. That does not mean every 1952D penny is worth $3,840. It doesn't mean your circulated example is automatically worth thousands. It means a specific exceptionally preserved, professionally graded example reached that result. And that's an important lesson for anyone searching through old coins. A headline might say, 1952D penny worth thousands. But the real question should always be, which 1952D penny? What grade? What color? What variety? What condition? Was it certified? What did it actually sell for? Those questions matter. An asking price is not the same thing as a completed auction sale. A random online listing is not proof of market value, and a coin that looks similar in a photograph may have completely different surfaces, grade, or variety. So don't let unrealistic claims make the decision for you. Let the coin speak for itself. Now let's return to the mint mark. Look at that tiny D again. This is where your magnifying glass can become your best friend. Hold the coin steady. Use good lighting. Don't move the light too quickly. Study the D from several angles. If you see what looks like another impression around the D, take a photograph. Don't touch the area with anything sharp. Don't scrape it. Don't polish it. Don't try to make the feature more visible. You could destroy exactly what you're trying to investigate. And remember, a documented 1952D sex ever mint mark variety exists. That makes the mint mark one of the most interesting areas to inspect. But identification is critical. Not every unusual D is a recognized variety. You need to compare the characteristics with known examples. That's how you separate an interesting possibility from a real numismatic discovery. Now let's talk about mint errors. This is one of the most misunderstood subjects in coin collecting. People see scratches and call them errors. They see dents and call them errors. They see damage and call it a mint mistake. But genuine mint errors happen during the manufacturing process. For example, an off-center strike can occur when the planchet isn't properly positioned. A clipped planchet can occur because of a problem involving the metal strip and punching process. Die cracks can occur when a die develops a crack. Die chips can occur when part of the die breaks away. Doubled dies involve specific die-making characteristics. These are real manufacturing phenomena. A scratch caused after the coin left the mint is not the same thing. So when you inspect your 1952D, ask yourself, does this feature look like something created during striking, or does it look like something that happened afterward? That simple question can prevent a lot of mistakes. Now let's inspect the rim. Look around the entire edge of the coin. Is the rim complete? Is the coin centered? Does the design appear shifted? Is there any unusual deformation? If you notice something that looks like an off-center strike, photograph the entire coin and the edge. But again, don't make a final judgment from a quick glance. Compare it with trusted examples. Now here's another useful home test. If you have an accurate digital scale, you can check the coin's weight. A standard 1952D Lincoln cent is listed at approximately 3.11 grams. But don't misunderstand what the number means. A slightly different measurement does not automatically mean you've discovered a rare error. The scale may be inaccurate. The coin may have dirt. The coin may have wear. The coin may have damage. So weight is a clue, not a final answer. And now check the edge. The normal Lincoln cent has a plain edge. Look for anything unusual, but don't confuse post-mint damage with a mint-made characteristic. This is why collecting is part science, part history, and part detective work. You're not just staring at an old penny, you're reconstructing what happened to that coin. Where was it made? How was it struck? How much wear did it experience? Did it retain its original surfaces? Was it altered? Does it have a known variety? And how does it compare with other examples? Now imagine finding your 1952D in an old family collection. Maybe someone put it away decades ago. Maybe it was sitting in a coffee can. Maybe it came from an old coin album. You pick it up. You see Lincoln, you see the wheat stalks, you see 152D. At first, nothing seems unusual. Then you notice the condition. The details look incredibly sharp. The color looks original. The surface appears untouched, and suddenly, you have a reason to investigate. That's the moment collectors love, not because they've already made money, but because they've discovered a question. Could this be an unusually high-grade survivor? Could there be a variety? Could there be an authentic mint error, or is it simply a beautiful example of an old American coin? You don't know until you investigate, and that's the whole point. Now let's talk about what you should never do. Don't use vinegar, don't use lemon juice, don't use baking soda, don't use metal polish, don't use toothpaste, don't use a jewelry cleaner, don't rub the surface aggressively, and don't try to make an old copper coin look new. You could permanently damage it. If a coin is potentially valuable, its original surface is far more important than making it look shiny. Now, here's another thing to remember. Age does not equal rarity. A coin being more than 70 years old doesn't automatically make it valuable. Millions of old coins survive. What makes certain examples stand out is the combination of factors: date, mint mark, variety, condition, color, strike, surface quality, authenticity, and collector demand. That's the real formula. So if you find a worn 1952D with no unusual characteristics, don't be disappointed. It's still a historic American coin. But if you find one with an unusual mint mark variety or exceptional preservation, that's when you should take a much closer look. Now let's talk about professional grading. If you believe you've found an exceptional coin, professional certification can help establish its authenticity and grade. A certified coin has been evaluated according to established grading standards. That can make it easier for collectors and buyers to understand what they're looking at. But don't send every old penny for grading. First, do your research. Make sure the coin has enough potential to justify the cost. Compare it with certified examples. Look for known variety and understand the difference between a common circulated coin and an exceptional example. Now here's a powerful way to think about it. Instead of asking, "How much is my 1952D worth?" ask, "Why would a collector want me 1952D?" That changes everything. Maybe it's unusually high grade. Maybe it has original red color. Maybe it's a recognized variety. Maybe it has a genuine mint error. Maybe it's simply a beautiful example with strong eye appeal. Once you know why it's interesting, then you can research comparable sales. That's how you avoid getting fooled by unrealistic price claims. Now imagine another scenario. You find 5 1952D pennies. The first is heavily worn. The second has moderate wear. The third has brown surfaces. The fourth has reddish-brown color. The fifth has sharp details and strong original color. Which one would you inspect most carefully? The fifth, but don't ignore the others completely. Why? Because a circulated coin could still be interesting if it has a genuine rare variety. That is why variety hunting and condition hunting are two different approaches. One focuses on what happened during production. The other focuses on how well the coin survived. Sometimes the two overlap, and that's when things get especially interesting. Now look again at the date, 1952. 7 decades have passed since this coin was made. Think about everything that has happened in America since then. Cars changed, cities changed, technology changed, families changed, and this tiny copper coin kept moving through the economy. That's what makes historic coins so fascinating. You're holding a physical object from another era, and in some cases you're holding an example that survived in remarkable condition. Now here's your next inspection. Place the coin under a light, move it slowly. Watch the way the surface reflects. Original mint luster can produce a distinctive appearance. A cleaned coin may show unnatural brightness or fine hairline scratches. Don't worry if you can't identify everything immediately. Learning to grade coins takes time. That's why comparison is so valuable. Look at certified examples, study photographs, learn what different grades actually look like. Over time, your eye becomes better, and eventually, you'll start noticing details that you once ignored. Now let's revisit the 3,840 auction result. Why does that number matter? Not because your penny is automatically worth that amount. It matters because it demonstrates the enormous difference between an ordinary example and an exceptional one. A certified MS67 plus red example is in a completely different category from a heavily circulated coin. That's the key takeaway. So if you see a 1952D in your pocket, don't immediately think thousands of dollars. Instead think, let's inspect it. That's the smarter approach. Now let's talk about the possibility of an over mint mark variety again. If you think your D looks unusual, don't compare it with random internet photographs. Look for reliable references. Find confirmed examples. Compare the exact characteristics, the position, the shape, the size, the surrounding metal, the relationship between the suspected feature and normal mint mark. That's how specialists identify varieties. And if you're still uncertain, an experienced numismatist or professional service can help. Now let's look at the reverse one more time. Those wheat stalks are more than decoration. They can help you judge wear. Look at the central details. Look at the lines. Look at the outer wheat grains. How much detail remains? Now look at the lettering. Does it have strong edges? Is it weak from circulation? Does the coin show heavy contact marks? Every answer helps build the coin's condition profile. Now turn it back over. Look at Lincoln's portrait. Imagine the coin when it was brand new in 1952. The surfaces would have been fresh from the mint. Over time, every contact with another coin could leave a mark. Every pocket could add friction. Every transaction could remove a tiny amount of detail. Every cleaning attempt could alter the surface. So, when you find an unusually preserved example today, you're seeing the result of decades of survival. That's what makes high-grade survivors special. Now here's a question for you. If you found a 1952D penny tomorrow, would you spend it? After everything we've covered, hopefully you would stop and inspect it first. Not because everyone is a fortune, but because you now know what to look for. Check the date, check the mint mark, check the variety possibilities, check the condition, check the color, check the surfaces, check the reverse, check the rim, and preserve the coin before doing anything else. Now let's discuss something else that can affect value: eye appeal. Two coins can receive similar technical grades and still attract different levels of interest. One might have attractive color and clean surfaces. Another might have distracting marks. Collectors often care about the overall appearance. That's why you shouldn't judge a coin only by one number. Grade matters, but the complete coin matters too. Now imagine you have a coin that looks almost perfect. You might think, this has to be worth a fortune. Slow down. Look under magnification. Maybe there are small scratches. Maybe the coin was cleaned. Maybe the color has changed. Maybe the coin isn't as high grade as it first appeared. That's why experienced collectors don't make decisions based on excitement. They investigate, and that's exactly what you should do. Now imagine the opposite. You find a worn coin. At first it doesn't look impressive, but you notice the D. You notice something unusual around it. You compare it with reference images, and the feature appears consistent with a known variety. Suddenly, the worn condition isn't the only thing that matters. The variety could be the reason the coin deserves attention. That's why you should never judge a wheat cent entirely by appearance. Look for evidence. Now let's talk about photographs. If you think you have something unusual, take a clear photo of the obverse. Take a clear photo of the reverse. Take a close-up of the date. Take a close-up of the mint mark. If there's a suspected error, photograph that area at multiple angles. Avoid heavy filters. Don't digitally edit the feature. You want the photograph to represent the actual coin. Good documentation can make research much easier. Now let's return to the most important warning. Never clean a potentially valuable coin. This cannot be repeated enough. An old coin's natural surface is part of its history. Cleaning can remove that surface. It can leave scratches. It can change the color. It can reduce collector appeal. And once the original surface is damaged, you can't simply put it back. So if you're uncertain, preservation is the safest choice. Now here's another thing to remember. Market prices change. Collector demand changes. Auction results vary. The value of an individual coin depends on the specific example and the market at the time. So even a verified auction record isn't a promise of what another coin will sell for. That's why responsible collectors talk about value ranges and comparable sales, rather than guaranteeing a giant number. And that's the approach you should take with your 1952D. Now let's summarize what you've learned. The 1952D Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at Denver. The mintage was large. That means the date itself doesn't make every example rare, but documented varieties exist. Exceptional condition can matter enormously. Original color can matter. Genuine mint errors can matter. And certification can help establish grade and authenticity. A documented high-grade example has reached thousands at auction. but your individual coin has to be evaluated on its own characteristics. That is the real story. Now look at your penny again. Maybe it's sitting right beside you. Maybe you've had it for years. Maybe you found it in change. Maybe someone in your family saved it. Turn it over. Find the D. Look at the date. Look at Lincoln. Look at the wheat stalks. Look at the surfaces. And ask yourself, does anything look different? If the answer is no, you've still learned something. If the answer is yes, don't rush. Document it, research it, preserve it, and verify it. Because the difference between a genuine discovery and an internet rumor is evidence. Now here's where the story becomes personal. Imagine years from now, someone finds your old coin collection. They open the box. Inside is a 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny. They look at the date, they see the D, they examine the surfaces, and they realize that you preserved an unusually nice example. That's the beauty of collecting. You're not just buying metal, you're preserving history, and sometimes, history comes with unexpected collector value. Now think about the millions of 1952 D cents that were produced. How many have been lost? How many were damaged? How many were cleaned? How many remain in circulation? How many are still hidden in collections? And how many exceptional examples are sitting unnoticed in old coin jars right now? That's the mystery, and that's why people keep searching, because you never know what the next coin will reveal. Now let's return to that tiny mint mark one final time. The D may look insignificant, it's just one letter, but that one letter tells you where the coin was made. And on a 1952 D, it can also be an area where varieties deserve careful attention. So whenever you see that D, slow down. Don't assume. Inspect, compare, verify. That's the collector mindset. Now look at the date, 1952, a number that might seem ordinary at first, but in the world of coin collecting, dates matter because they connect coins to specific production years, designs, varieties, and historical periods. And the 1952 D is part of the final decade of the wheat cent era. Only a few more years would pass before the wheat reverse disappeared, and the Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced in 1959. So the 1952 D is part of the closing chapter of one of America's most recognizable coin designs. That's history you can hold in your hand. Now let's imagine your coin is worn. Don't be disappointed. Maybe it isn't a major rarity. That's okay. Not every coin has to be worth thousands to be worth keeping. Sometimes the historical story is enough. And if you enjoy searching, that ordinary coin may teach you how to identify the next one. Every coin you inspect improves your eye. Every variety you study makes you better at recognizing details. Every mistake teaches you what not to trust. That's how collectors develop experience. Now imagine the opposite. You find a coin with exceptional surfaces, sharp details, strong color, minimal marks, a clearly identifiable D, and perhaps a feature that looks like a known variety. That's when you have something worth taking seriously. Don't announce a huge value immediately. Don't post an unbelievable claim. Don't damage it. Document it, compare it, and consider professional evaluation. That's how a possible discovery becomes a credible discovery. Now we're coming to the final part of this search. Take one last look at your 1952 D. Check the date, check the mint mark, check Lincoln's portrait, check Liberty, check In God We Trust, flip the coin, check United States of America, check E Pluribus Unum, check the wheat stalks, check 1 cent, check the rim, check the edge, check the color. Check the surfaces, and now ask, what makes this particular coin different? That is the question that matters. Not, how old is it? Not, does the internet say it's worth $100,000? But, what specific characteristic does my coin have? Once you can answer that question, you're on the right track. Maybe the answer is nothing unusual. Maybe it's a normal circulated 1952 D. Maybe the answer is exceptional preservation. Maybe it's original red color. Maybe it's a documented variety. Maybe it's a genuine mint error. The evidence will tell you, and if you're lucky enough to discover something truly unusual, remember how you found it. You didn't find it by guessing. You found it by looking closely. You found it by comparing. You found it by being patient. You found it because you didn't spend the coin before checking it. So the next time a 1952 D Lincoln wheat penny lands in your hand, don't treat it like ordinary pocket change. Take a second. Turn it over. Find that tiny D. Study the date. Look at Lincoln. Examine the wheat reverse. And ask yourself one final question. What if the most important detail on this old penny is the one almost everyone else would overlook? Because sometimes, the most interesting coin isn't the one that looks spectacular from across the room. Sometimes it's the little penny that makes you stop, pick up a magnifying glass, look again, and realize there may be more to the story than you first thought. So before you spend that 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny, check it carefully. Preserve it if something looks unusual. Compare it with verified examples. And remember, don't chase the hype, chase the evidence. Because 1 cent may not look like much, but after more than 7 decades, that tiny piece of American history could still have a story worth discovering.